When did you first become aware of the fact that as a candidate for mayor, there would be a residency requirement rule that would apply to you or possibly apply to you?
I don't know the exact date, but when I read it based on Mr. Odelson's raising the questions.
That was when you first became aware of it?
Overruled.
So you first became aware of the fact that there was a residency requirement for you as a candidate for mayor of the city of Chicago when you read about it in the newspaper as based on a statement that Bert Odelson made?
Overruled.
We'll say this, given that I, less than 2 years earlier, had been a congressman from the city of Chicago, owned a home here.
Can two people, can the Halperins and Rahm Emanuel both reside in the same location?
Objection. You're asking him that I'll sustain that calls for a legal conclusion from the witness.
This is a rule book, 2009, so it's quite possible that you don't have the current rule book. May I give this to Rahm Emanuel?
That's a statute book. That's the Illinois election code.
Okay. I know that his attorneys have this.
I'm not going to allow Mr. Emanuel to answer legal questions of fact. Yes, sure.
So you'd have rules of the game.
Just as a gift.
Thank you.
The reason why I believe this is important is because it's especially important for people who do play by the rules, who are forced to play by the rules, who have no choice but to play by the rules. My father was a Chicago public school principal. If you are mayor of the city of Chicago, would you force police officers, firemen, teachers to be residents of the city of Chicago?
Sustained.
Do you know of another candidate for mayor named Tom Hansen? This is relevant, in my opinion. Do you know who Tom Hansen is?
I know the name.
He was a Republican candidate for Congress against you, I believe, when you first ran for Congress. He was thrown off the ballot yesterday, and he didn't have a single objector to his petitions. He was thrown off the ballot, from what I understand, because an employee of this Board of Elections lost some of his paperwork. So,
can we get to a question?
how is it that you are somehow, how is it that you're even still on the ballot? Mr. Morris, what you advise the Board of Elections, I think, is important not just to Rahm Emanuel, but to how the people of Chicago and around the country will view our city in the future.
Yes.
Whether they will see that our city is a corrupt town where regular people are held to a different standard than people with power and influence, or whether they'll see that Chicago truly is ready for reform. Luckily, as a lifelong resident of Chicago myself, I can tell you that people of Chicago are good, and that they do know the difference between right and wrong, and they do believe that rules should be applied equally to everybody. As a former candidate myself, I can also tell you that candidates are routinely knocked off the ballot for very minor infractions of these election rules and regulations. I believe that Rahm Emanuel's failure to fulfill the residency requirement to be mayor of the city of Chicago is beyond question at this point, and that if we were talking about any other candidate other than Rahm Emanuel, he would have already been removed from the ballot. This is not a question of his service in Washington. This is the simple fact that he rented out his Chicago home and thus forfeited his status as a Chicago resident. When the Halperins signed that lease to move in to Rahm Emanuel's Ravenswood home, he did not become a co-resident of that property. When he extended that lease to June of 2011, he showed once again that he had no intention to come back to Chicago for this mayoral election cycle. If Rahm Emanuel follows through on his intention to move his family back to Chicago, then he has every right to participate in some future mayoral election cycle. You don't have to be an attorney to know that it doesn't matter what you intend to do. It only matters what you actually do. There's a famous phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Another famous phrase is that ignorance of the law is no excuse. When I got a chance to question Rahm Emanuel, I asked him when he first discovered that being a candidate for mayor meant that you had to fulfill a residency requirement. His answer was that he found out about the residency requirement upon reading an article quoting Bert Odelson in September. By that time, it was too late. Other candidates for mayor and alderman have been knocked off the ballot because they don't number their pages correctly, okay? And they're told tough luck because they haven't notarized properly, tough luck. They haven't bound the petitions correctly, tough luck. I believe that if at the end of this hearing, Rahm Emanuel hears anything other than tough luck, it is clear that the Chicago Way is still in effect and that there is one standard for insiders and one standard for everybody else. Because this has nothing to do with what Rahm Emanuel intends to do in the future, even a non-lawyer like myself knows that. It has nothing to do with how many boxes he has in storage or even what's in those boxes. This has to do with whether the same laws are applied evenly across the board. My father was a Chicago employee. He was a legal resident. I also happen to know for a fact that he believed passionately that all people are equal and that they should all be held to the same rules as everyone else. So after weeks of questions and objections sustained, I have one question that I need to ask you. Do you believe passionately that all people are equal and should be held to the same rules as everyone else?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you.